Welcome to the BSBLR Show, guys. It's time to yap some ball. 30 minutes baseball bliss is coming at you guys. We got a lot of good stuff here today. We got Scoobs. We got Framber Rich. Javi Baez, he's smoking the ganj. And Clase, he's super fucked. All right, moving on. How we doing today, Bryce?
I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling laid back. I'm not on my Javi Baez quite yet. It's a bit early in the day. But
Wake and Baez.
but the weather's getting warmer around here. We're looking towards baseball season. I'm excited. Let's get things rolling.
Let's do it, man. Let's start out with the baseballer blitz. First one. So home run if you like it, strike out if you don't. Skubal, will he be traded at the deadline?
So I'm gonna say strikeout here because I do think the relationship is probably permanently soured. I know we're gonna get into that later, but I think the Tigers are going to be contending. I think that's a Mickey Mouse division, if you will, to a certain extent. We kind of talked about that with the White Sox. So I think they're going to be in contention, especially with that Framber Valdez signing. They're going to have a shot here to make a run and win that division. We saw what they did in the playoffs last year, just coming up short against Seattle there. So I do think we're going to look back here and we're going to see the Tigers are really just going to go for it all season. And whatever happens with Skubal when his free agency comes, it happens. But he's going to be on that team throughout the season, in my opinion.
No, 100%. I mean, I think it gets tricky because you want to look at that and you're like, ooh, the haul we could get from Tarik Skubal at the deadline. Imagine that haul, right? So that kind of enters fans' minds. But let's be real, especially in that division with that rotation. They're going to be contending. That would be a wild move by the Detroit Tigers if they're 15 games, 20 games above 500 at that point, which is very realistic. And to be like, yeah, let's think about our future instead of going for it and winning it after you get Valdez. Like, that's where I'm looking at this. Like, it sounds sexy on paper, and as a front office, it has to be intriguing. But like, who's going to take that offer? Like, who's actually going to entertain that and sell out their farm for half a season of Skubal and no guarantee past that? I just don't think that's the case. The Tigers are running it, and they look like they're on their way to being pretty fucking good.
Yeah, definitely. And Skubal seems like a guy destined for free agency. It seems like he wants to be there. So we'll see what type of deal he gets. And speaking of free agency, DR, we saw Eugenio Suarez 1 year, $15 million deal to the Cincinnati Reds. I got to ask you, home run or strikeout? Was this a steal for the Reds to get Eugenio Suarez?
I think I'm slamming that, right? I mean, for a guy who hit 49 home runs to only be able to land a 1 year deal, age, whatever, defense, whatever, just even strictly as a DH, I think it's absolutely wild. We're talking about a guy that even in his bad second half with Seattle, 189, 682 OPS, but in 53 games, he had 13 home runs. That's on pace for a 40 home run season. And that's at T-Mobile Park. That is the worst place to try to hit home runs. He now goes from there to Cincinnati in the Great American Ballpark, the best place to hit home runs and slug. Like, for 15 million in a 1 year deal, no commitment, why wouldn't you? I just can't believe that's what he landed on. Watching all of these huge AAV deals and then watching Gino get like lowballed like that, crazy to me.
There's going to be a lot of teams coming about halfway through the season that are going to wish they gave Eugenio Suarez this deal. I look at somebody like my own favorite team, the Red Sox. Like, we couldn't toss him 17 million, but I think there's going to be quite a few teams in that boat. I think it's like he went to Seattle, struggled, and then his market was just gone. It felt kind of weird to me because I feel like before that he was seen as like a premier power hitter on the market, and so it was kind of shocking to see his whole free agent market just dry up. But I think a lot of teams are going to have some regret for not jumping on this deal.
Just a weird one, man. Just a really weird one. Also kind of weird. Brendan Donovan, he looks like a lumberjack. I think, like, if I'm looking at him, I just get some lumberjack vibes. But I just feel like not many people want to talk about him. And I get it, It's Brendan Donovan. He doesn't, like, push the needle in sexiness. Maybe the lumberjack look is your thing. But is Brendan Donovan underrated?
My lumberjack fetish aside, Brendan Donovan is not a sexy acquisition by the Seattle Mariners. But when I look at him, if you ask me to define Brendan Donovan with one word, I would say solid. I mean, this is a dude, we talked about it beforehand, never had an OPS plus below 114, I believe. He's going to get in there, being above average hitter. The defense, it is what it is, but he's going to keep you afloat. It's not egregious. And so this is just a solid move here by the Seattle Mariners. They gave up a bit of an exciting pitching prospect in return, but you can't just sit on these prospects all year throughout the years and just prey on their development. If you see a chance to go get a guy who can change your team and make you better, you pounce on it, and that's what they did. I really like this deal for them.
Yeah, the Mariners in win now mode. They need a win, and a big thing with them, their team was ranked 21st in batting average last year. Guess what helps? A guy who just wakes up and hits 280. I mean, this dude hasn't struck out more than 81 times in a single year. Like, this guy doesn't K, gets hits. He is just so solid, like you're saying. Like, he isn't a world beater, but like, you don't get worse by having a Brendan Donovan in your lineup. There's just this level of consistency that you are going to get, and that's what the Mariners need right now. It seems like they're making a real push for it.
Yeah, and so we go from a team making a push for it to another team that feels like they're always in contention but can never quite take the leap. So, DR, I got to ask you, San Diego Padres, do they win more than 84.5 games this year?
I'm going to go on a limb and say swipe left. I know it's a weird one. Like, this Padres team, there's too much talent on it, but if you look at last year, it regressed heavily, and I think it starts with the rotation now. You're losing 168 innings by Dylan Cease, your workhorse, your guy that every single fifth day is out there on the bump. You lose that, that's massive. Yes, you return Michael King. Nick Pivetta is still a dude, but you got to imagine he regresses a little bit. I mean, Nick Pivetta, salute to you. 287 last year with 181 innings pitched. What a dog. 5.3 WAR from Nick Pivetta last year. I did not respect your game like that. I do think him and Michael King are dogs, but like, I just think you Darvish gone, Dylan Cease gone. You have to rely on some pitchers that you might not really want to rely on, like Randy Vasquez, Steven Kolak. Like, I don't know if that's like, hey, this is a 90 win team. I don't know if that has that feel. The lineup last year kind of dry too. You might think, and you might be like, slam Diego, and think like, oh man, this is the team. But their highest OPS last year was 814 by Fernando. That was the only OPS above 800. Just a bunch of like league average ish in there, top to bottom. So it kind of gives me like, okay, your rotation's kind of your lineup's been kind of unless if you overperform, I'm taking it under.
Yeah, see, this is tough for me because could I see this team winning 90 games, everything going right? I totally could. Like, it could happen. But like you said, there's a lot of question marks. Like Machado, what does a new year with another year on his age look like for him? You know, we could see some regression. We're already seeing a bit with defense like we talked about before. And then, you know, you got Xander over there, you know, Xander Bogaerts. I loved him with the Red Sox. That is one of the worst contracts I've ever seen. I don't mean this. I know that sounds mean, but I mean, what's he going to look like as he ages too? And then Tatis, you know, we know how great he can be, but like you said with the pitching staff as well, Pivetta was great, but can he replicate that? You can't just walk out next season and have another year like that, like it's nothing. And then Michael King is great when he's on the mound, but I feel like he always has health question marks as well.
Yeah.
So a lot would have to go right for them to hit the over here, I feel like.
100%. It's an interesting one, man. That one made me think a little bit because 84.5 feels like a low bar, but then you're thinking about it. It's like, yeah, I get why. Like, there was some regression last year. We went from a couple years ago being like, this team is a really, really good team, and I'm not sure if they are anymore. So we'll see how it all shakes out for them. But speaking of having a good off season, I think Javi Baez has been having a great one. Getting popped for pot. Didn't expect that to be the headline of our 2026 offseason, but it is for Javi Baez. But here's the interesting thing here. He didn't like just get popped for it. This is from 2023. So he tested positive for cannabis in 2023, and it's still strictly policed in an international play. So, and that was during the 2023 tournament, he tested positive. It's a 2-year international ban, which began in April 2024 and ends April 2026. So he misses this from something that's been banned since 2020.
Yeah, I mean, do I think this rule is stupid? And this might be an unpopular opinion here. Yes, I do. I do think it's stupid that cannabis is banned for international play or whatever it is. But if you're Javier Baez, I do feel like if this means as much to you as it seems like, you've got to be aware of the rules here. And I know that's tough. And I know to a lot of people, including myself, it's not a big deal now when people use it. MLB's allowed it since 2020. But when you're a professional athlete, you got to know the rules. It's just like every substance on MLB's ban list might not be that egregious, but you know you can't take it because you're going to get popped. And I know that's tough to say. There's been a lot of controversy with the WBC for insurance issues and whatnot. This just kind of added to the list. We see Baez, now it's Lindor and Correa all not
Ugh,
going. But this Baez thing, I was just shocked. And the fact that it happened this long ago, too, it just feels like it came out of nowhere. But like I said, it's tough. But if you're biased, you kind of got to know the rules and
totally.
regulations of international play.
Yeah, and that's where like even branching off into this into Team Puerto Rico, you went from like, dude, Team Puerto Rico, it just sucks. No matter what we're talking about, Bryce, in terms of this, whether it's the right rule, it's wrong rule, whatever it may be, like all I can say is a universal baseball community. This sucks. That
Does.
sucks. Like we're losing Javi Baez, Francisco Lindor, Carlos Correa. Like, come on. Like Puerto Rico has been a staple in the WBC for me. Like, just like when you watch it, I always go back to who doesn't remember Yadier Molina, throw down a second, Javi Baez. Like, that's an iconic moment. Puerto Rico has always been that iconic team in there. And you're missing like some super key stars in that lineup and in that just overall team right now. And it just sucks.
Yeah, it feels like now whoever wins the tournament didn't beat everyone at their full strength. And so I'm not saying though whoever wins it is an illegitimate winner, but it kind of puts a stain. It puts a stain on it because you know you're not facing every country's best. And
Yeah.
so I don't know, it sucks. Like there's no other way to put it.
No other way to put it, man. And know what sucks? Getting banned for life. Getting banned for life sucks. Know what sucks? That sucks for Emmanuel Clase. So now there's some more information coming out. Nothing's confirmed. It is accused, but it looks like he has been involved in 48 games over the last 2 seasons he's being accused for. And initially, I think it was like, I can't even remember. It was like 8 games first that they had like actual federal proof of, or at least allegations of. It's now jumped to 48. So on like a scale of like Javi Baez 1 fucked and 10 like OJ Simpson fucked, like where is he on this list, Bryce?
I mean, I don't know if he's OJ Simpson reincarnated necessarily, but he is definitely one of the dumbest people I've ever encountered in my life. I mean, you're a millionaire just from throwing balls, and you're like, let me ruin my life real quick. And then, like, who knows to what extent he even dragged Ortiz into this and ruined his life as well, which he was a grown man as well. It's his decisions. But looking at Class A specifically, you had it all. You were great at the sport. I feel like you were beloved in Cleveland. You were beloved by the whole MLB. Like, everyone loved you, dude. And then you just go and just ruin it. And I feel like gambling on games and stuff is even more frowned upon than PEDs. Like, and so this is one of the worst things as a professional athlete you could ever do is question the integrity of the sport by gambling. So, I mean, what an idiot. Way to ruin your life. I mean, I just have nothing good to say about the guy anymore. I mean, it's just pathetic.
It sucks because like we all have been led astray. Because like I just remember last year, 2024, I should say, and just watching him, and I literally was talking to my wife, and I was like, "Do you know how insane he's been this year? Like a .61 ERA, 47 saves over 74 innings. Like it was just something like that we have never basically seen. A .61 ERA as a closer throwing 102-mile-an-hour cutters. Like this dude was a freak. It was just so fun to like, hey, this guy is an absolute freak. And here we go with another like Felipe Romero situation. Exactly. Like, and he's gone forever, right? Like he's gone forever. I saw he came up in my feed the other day. He like got ejected from a game in the Dominican Republic or Mexico.
Felipe Vasquez is still pitching? Who lets him on the mound, dude? Like, he can't even go like 100 yards from a school prior.
Yes, he can. But in the Dominican, he's good for baseball. He is good to go, man. But oh my God, Class 8, not good to go. the biggest thing that the when I heard about all of this was like how ridiculous he was by not even like trying to hide it. So first of all, like when what the situation was for people who may not know is what they were accusing him of, or that they thought he was doing, was it was like first pitch. So he would basically, the situation is his bettor would place money that he is going to throw a ball in the first pitch of said at bats. Is basically what it would be. Maybe the start of the inning, start of an at bat. There was one time where he threw like a low outside slider to, and if you watch some of these videos, guys, like it's just like this guy is clearly getting flagged. These are first pitch sliders from a guy who has like a first pitch like strike rate of like higher than high in his career, and just first pitch sliders like bouncing 48 feet, and he throws one. But remember, this dude is one of the nastiest pitchers on the planet. So he throws one of those, but Andy Pages hacks at it. After the game, his bettor texted him like a sad face, and he sent back like a sad puppy emoji 10 minutes after the game. Like if anyone's investigating you, that's damning evidence. And that's how they got him on stuff like that. It's like, what are you doing, man?
And then him sending like a puppy dog emoji face, it sounds funny on the surface, but what it tells me too is that I don't think he quite realized how serious what he was doing is, because that's not something you send a puppy dog emoji to. That's something I would send my wife if I like forgot my water bottle at home when I went to work, not when I threw trying to cheat on baseball and it went awry.
Yes,
like,
dude.
That's just, it's wild. And then like we see this in NBA as well with like Jonte Porter, Terry Rozier got caught up in gambling investigations. It's scary because I feel like we could keep going on and on about how this seems like it's going to be a widespread issue. I'm not going to be surprised if Clase isn't the last one that we hear something about this with. Because, I mean, we see how hard gambling's thrown in these athletes' faces. And I'm not condemning like a regular citizen sports gambling, but when it comes to these pros, I am worried we're going to see it more and more in every professional league.
And you just got to come down hard on this stuff. Like it just has to be talk. We have to talk about like serious prison time with this stuff. And yes, it's a game, all this, but like when we talk about the integrity, like how many people are going to want to toe the line? And then if you have many people trying to toe the line of what we're talking about, you ruin what sports is. Yes. And like that's where it is. Because yes, we're not talking about the citizen. Like me putting a $5 or $10 parlay out there ain't gonna affect shit. But Clase being like, hey, first pitch, I'm gonna throw a ball here. Wink, wink. Does affect things. And that's just not what the sport needs. And dude, you got to come down hard on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So guys, we are going to deep dive. Probably the most interesting situation that's happened in the last week since we yapped some ball with you guys. Tarik Skubal, $32 million won in arbitration. The most ever by $1 million over Juan Soto and like 12.25. Good math over here. Over the next highest pitcher in history and it was David Bryce at 19.75. Very crazy situation. Obviously, that there's a lot more that goes into it, though. I think when we look at this situation, it's, first of all, I need people to understand this is arbitration. This is not free agency. So to think that he's making a lot less than some other pitchers is kind of wrong, because this is his last year. The only reason he won it, guys, is because he went into this arbitration case, and there's a special accomplishments act that they have at this provision in arbitration now, where it allows anyone who has 5 or more years of service can basically be like, hey, I'm a dude. I'm awesome. And Tarik Skubal coming in with 2 back-to-back Cy Youngs being like, hey, guys, pay me my money. I'm not just a regular arbitration guy. I am the best starting pitcher in baseball. Paul Skeens is like, what? But that's what happened there, and that's what got him some money.
Yeah, for people who don't really know, arbitration essentially, like, so the Tigers thought Skubal was worth a certain amount. I believe it was 19 million around that was what they were arguing for. So kind of in that David Price range, which was many years ago. And Skubal wanted around 30 million. And so basically they go to a neutral, an arbiter, somebody who's kind of neutral in the situation, and they just argue about it. So it's kind of awkward when you think about it. So the Tigers are basically saying like, yeah, you won 2 Cy Youngs, but you hold on, you ain't worth all that, man. Like
Did
that's
you
what,
see that in between the legs throw you threw to first base?
like, yeah,
That was ass.
you won 2 Cy Youngs, but like you're not that great. So we're not gonna pay you. I mean, and that's not exactly the technical terms. I'm sure that's not how they spoke, but in a way, that's kind of what arbitration is. But this is huge for players in general for Skubal to walk away as a winner of this. And I think a lot of people were okay with him winning this as well. I was rooting for Skubal personally. Like more money for the players. If anyone deserved it, it was him. I mean, come on. And then Detroit, like they're just speed running through, I guess, souring their relationship with Skubal because this is a great way for you to sour your relationship with a star player is to say they're not worth nowhere near what they think they are. It's a bit of a questionable move by the Tigers here, in my opinion. Just pay the man. I bet they wish they did now, knowing they went through all that and he still wound up winning.
Yeah, it was just like one of those decisions that the team was like, "Hey, we're probably not going to get you in free agency. Let's see if we can save a quick buck here." And like, I bet like they had to have thought like if they were doing odds, if they were betting in the game, they were Clase in it, I bet they would have probably bet against themselves because I mean that was just how do you lose that? I mean, how do you lose that as Skubal? You're coming off of back-to-back Cy Youngs, looking like a top 2, not 2 pitcher in baseball. And hey, you deserve less than David Price did 12 years ago. It's going to be a tough one to beat. And especially that number where it's like, okay, it's 1 million more than the highest ever. That's not like a far-fetched number. Like he's the pitcher out there.
Yeah.
So it definitely doesn't really rub me the wrong way. That shouldn't rub a lot of people the wrong way. Maybe the Tigers, but
Screw him. I mean, really.
Fuck him. But like, dude, but now that like opens this can of worms. I had a hot take where I'm thinking Framber Valdez actually helped him make some more money, being a good teammate. Some people might not think so. That Framber's a good teammate. I don't know why. But regardless, think about it this way. So he used his case being like, hey, I won back-to-back Cy Youngs. I'm in the 5th year of my arbitration. Like, I deserve money. He compared his argument not to current people's in arbitration. That's usually how it goes. It's like, yo, this person made this in arbitration. He's like, nah, I want to compare me to people in free agency. Look at Zach Wheeler signing $40 million. Look at Framber Valdez signing for $38 million. If he's making 38, I need to make 32. So maybe, I'm just saying, maybe in that case, he brought up Framber and won him some money.
No, it was one of the funniest parts of the whole thing. And like you said, there's a difference between arbitration money and free agency money. But to see the Tigers kind of act like they don't have it like that to pay Skubal, and then they immediately hand Framber Valdez this big deal right in the middle of all this. And Valdez, a bit of a controversial guy. Plus, I want to go on record too. I'm not really concerned about him plunking his catcher that one time. I don't think that's going to really affect his tenure or standing in the Detroit clubhouse. I think it was probably an isolated incident, frustration with that catcher in the moment, and I could be wrong, but I do hope I'm not because I would love to see this be successful for both sides. But I'm not really worried about that. I think it's a great signing, but it was so confusing when that news broke, and they're like, "Okay, so you guys don't want to pay Skubal, but you'll pay Framber Valdez." It was very confusing by the Tigers.
No, totally, and I agree with you there for the most part. I'll put my opinion with it. It can be a problem if that team doesn't have leaders. If that clubhouse, again, there's 25 guys there. If that clubhouse is, pretty young, not a lot of guys like a Skubal or like that's like Flaherty, like people like that feel like clubhouse leaders, it could be really effective because then it's like, all right, this guy's probably say what we want about Framber, but there's a lot where it's like, okay, he probably is not going to be like the vocal leader, the rah-rah guy. But how many guys are there like that? There's not a lot. There's not a lot. So you just need a couple of the guys at the top to be leading the charge. He's probably not going to be that guy. But guess what he's going to be doing? He's going to be leading by example. This dude is a 3.5 ERA guy or below every single year, workhorse. That helps.
Yes.
That helps. Like that, in my opinion, is more important than a clubhouse leader. And like, and that might be a hot take. Obviously, having a clubhouse leader, if you already have a clubhouse leader and you have a good solidified clubhouse, which this team, they didn't lose a lot last year, right? So like you're looking at probably running it back with a very similar team. You have Skubal like being your guy. And yeah, you might have had some spiff with the front office, but like he's not going to be like, yo, fuck everybody on this team. That's not what he's going to be thinking. Like he seems like an upstanding guy. So I just think with that, especially like it could affect things. But for a clubhouse like this in the situation it is, it's like he's just going to be a really good arm.
I do think too that he's going to come in kind of on his best behavior, especially at the start as well, because this reputation I feel like loomed over him ever since that moment happened. I caught it on video of him looking like he plunked his catcher on purpose, crossed him up on purpose. We'll never truly know, I guess, but I mean, come on. And so, it's kind of looking like Framber Valdez, great pickup. I think he's going to be on his best behavior. And so I think the Tigers are in a really good spot with that. And so now we're going to kind of move on to a bit of a different topic here, something I kind of specialize in, and that is the Hall of Pretty Good. And so this week we had a brand new member, kind of an iconic member, especially for those Cubs fans out there as we see DR, take a sip of that Cubs mug right there. Kerry Wood, 96% of the vote, over 35,000 votes. We know the iconic game, but DR, I got to give your thoughts on how you feel about Kerry Wood growing up as a Cubs fan.
I mean, like, to be truthfully honest, I wasn't like really competent when he was at his peak. So like you talk about the 20 strikeout game, the first 4 or 5 years of his career, an insane pitcher. I saw like the very end of it. I was like starting to like comprehend baseball in second grade in 2003. So that was like the peak of the Cubs. The first game I ever watched actually was the first game after the Bartman game. Kind of why I'm a Cub fan in the first place. Oddly why I'm a Cubs fan, but that's what attracted me to the Cubs was the Bartman play. Interesting enough, little fun fact. But dude, the aura around what Kerry Wood was, and then him going from a lights out starter to injury issues to then becoming a all-star closer was a very interesting up and down. But like, there's not a Cubs fan who has an ill thought about Kerry Wood. The guy was just a workhorse and just a classy guy through and through, and one of the most dominant starters to start a career that you'll ever see. It tickles me pink seeing him be a Hall of Pretty Good. He is so deserved of it.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say too, you mentioned it. It sounds kind of goofy, but it's true. After that 20K strikeout game, he kind of had this aura about him. Like you knew when Kerry Wood walked in the room, like he had the potential to do something special. And I think that means a lot, and that can give you some intimidation as well. I mean, him and Mark Pryor kind of feel like big what could have beens in those early to mid 2000s Cubs teams. A lot of just what could have been. Kerry Wood figured out a bit more than Pryor did, unfortunately for Pryor. But Wood turning into, a top of the rotation starter to a guy in the bullpen you can trust. I mean, usually you don't see pitchers kind of give themselves a second life like that, like he managed to do. I mean, it was just insanely special. Also, really great with the Yankees as a setup man for Mariano Rivera for a minute there, too. He put up some insane numbers when they first got him. Kind of with Cleveland, I feel like people don't remember that. But altogether, when you look at it, just an impressive career. He could have quit after he flamed out as a starter. He didn't. He found a way. And so it was awesome to honor him like that.
I'm today's years old when I found out that he was like a really good Yankee at the deadline. I'm just finding that out.
Amazing for to set up Mo when they picked him up.
Dude, 0.69 ERA. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Very nice. So what is nice also is our Tinder swipes. They don't sponsor us. We sponsor them. We are swiping right, swiping left today, Bryce. We got some right up your alley, Mr. Commish. We are doing Hall of Pretty Good players. We have 3 potential Hall of Pretty Good, or swipe right if you think they're Hall of Pretty Good legend, or swipe left if you don't think they're going to make it. Let's start with the newest person that would, I think, the newest addition to the San Francisco Giants. We had a 1-year, $12 million deal to Luis Arias. Are we swiping right or swiping left on his Hall of Pretty Good?
So first off, him and Devers sharing the same side of the infield is hilarious. But I am going to swipe right because in my mind, he's a perfect Hall of Pretty Gooder. I feel like there's this divide. People think he's either Tony Gwynn, like reincarnated, or they think he sucks. I think he actually falls somewhere in the middle. Last year was a bit of a down year, a 99 OPS plus. He was better when he got traded, but I do feel like Luis Ariz is a perfect Hall of Pretty Gooder. He is the Tony Gwynn of the Hall of Pretty Good. He's not the next Tony Gwynn. He's just like 1/3 of what Tony Gwynn was. But I mean, just to keep it short and sweet, he's a slam dunk Hall of Pretty Gooder. He's exactly the type of person I envision. Just elite at one thing, okay to mid at the rest. Like that's what we want to see.
And I love that analysis, man. That's really great because you got to imagine the 3 batting titles has to be the lead for the Hall of Pretty Good. Like 3 batting titles. I don't know if we have that off rip right now, Bryce, but you got to imagine if we do some deep diving, that's got it. 3 batting titles is not that's not an easy accomplishment.
No, I bet the only other people who have that are either Hall of Famers or not in the Hall of Fame because of steroids. And I don't know who it is off the top of my head. No, that's what it's got to be. And so going to our next candidate, though, as a Cubs fan here, DR, Daniel Palencia. You swiping right or swiping left? Is he a future Hall of Pretty Gooder?
And this is what you do to me, man. You put me in the Cubs corner. You put me in the Cubs corner, and you're gonna make me swipe left on my guy. But I'm swiping left here, dude. And it has nothing to do with Daniel Palencia in himself. It just has to do with how volatile relief arms are. I always look at it like last year going into the season, I was like, dude, Porter Hodge is going to be like a great reliever closer for the Cubs this year. And I'm not sure if he's making the big league roster a year later. Same thing here. We're looking at Palencia. It's like, dude, he had an insane year last year. 2.91 ERA. That's over 52 innings pitched, 22 saves. He had a 10.4 K9. If you watch him, he's electric. He throws 102. The ball's moving and dancing, going all over the place. But you never know. He's been a guy prior to this season. If you asked this a season ago, I would have laughed you off the screen. Like he had a 7.4 walks per 9 in 24. Like he was not a part of the bullpen. He started the season last year in AAA. Like for me, I want to just pump the brakes on the Hall of Pretty Good. That is such an enshrinement to have. So I want to make sure I'm putting in the right guys. Give me another year of Danny P before I swipe right on that guy.
Yeah, I want to agree, but I am optimistic for his future. I'm hoping he figured it out. He's starting to figure it out. I know his first 2 seasons were a little rough. This season was a big improvement, though. The walks are down. Strikeouts are still there. I'm optimistic for his future.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Are you optimistic, though, on Alec Bohm? Swipe right or swipe left?
So I'm a swipe left, and I usually advocate for every player to get into the Hall of Pretty Good. And if he got in, I'd love it. But I think we're going to look back in 10 years and be like, man, Alec Bohm, that was a decent ball player right there. I just don't know if he's Hall of Pretty Good. I look at other third basemen like Matt Carpenter, Mike Lowell, who are in the Hall of Pretty Good. I'm not sure he's just at that level. I mean, he hits a lot of doubles, which is like a great skill set to have. But being a corner infielder, there's not a lot of power there other than that. The defense is a little suspect, probably even more than a little suspect, if I'm being honest with you. He does everything okay, and I don't think he hurts a ball club, but I'm not sure he improves them enough to be what I would call a Hall of Pretty Gooder. And I mean that with no disrespect. He's had a great career already compared to most, and he's going to keep being employed for a while. I just don't think he's quite there.
And I think the biggest thing that goes into this is just the public opinion of Alec Bohm. Like, not even just the numbers. It's the public opinion. Because I think with the Hall of Pretty Good, it's like what can really help your case is like a fond memory. And I think that's the great part about the Hall of Pretty Good, where you can look at it like a D train like we had last week, where it's like, yes, was he like a true, like if we were going by like book numbers of what a Hall of Pretty Gooder looks like, maybe doesn't cut that. Or like a Trevor Plouffe, where it doesn't cut that. But like guys who are so positive in people's mindsets, right? That's the only way that I think Bohm could get in. And it's quite the opposite. I feel like Phillies fans don't like him.
If you ask me, it feels like Philly fans hate him, like based on what I see.
It feels like I was very nice by saying don't like. Like the only time was when he's like, fuck this place or whatever he said, fuck this, fuck Philly. Dude, fuck
Forgot about that.
But like that was like actually the most positive.
They were like,
yeah, they're like, that's our fucking guy. But that was like the only time. So that's what it would take, in my opinion, to like get him into the Hall of Pretty Good. But again, he would have to like have a massive 3-run home run in a World Series this year, or like something standoutish that like people like, oh my God, like a David Freese type of moment for him to get there. Cause I don't think he's going to accumulate. He's a one-time All-Star, but he would have to put down a couple more at least of those seasons, which I don't feel that. I don't feel that good about Bohm. So very interesting, but nonetheless, a great topic of conversation. But thank you guys for tuning in. It's 30 minutes of baseball bliss. Me and Bryce got caught yapping. Look at us. 35 minutes of us yapping at you. Thanks again, guys, for listening in. Make sure you follow us on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Check out all the platforms, guys, and see what other content is coming out. Lots of cool stuff coming out here, guys. Joe Kelly interview is on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. Little pout face for you guys. But we will see you soon. Peace.